Oh, hello there. Well, we do not have a Phish show to talk about today, but I did listen to the new Page album. I don't only listen to Taylor Swift, occasionally I throw on something like a new Page album when it comes out. I wouldn't really say this album dropped. It was more like kind of like lightly tossed out there. They didn't exactly take it up in one of those Red Bull spaceships and launch it to Earth. So, what was it was another one like in 2021 he had one of these albums. I think it was called maybe We Are the Visitors. Perhaps We Are the Visitors. We Are the Visitors. Something along those lines. The previous Page album, it was all piano and synth. Needed a little more though. There was a couple of songs on it. This one is called what is this? What the We Will Land? Hold on here. I'm sorry, you think I would have had this ready. And it's Something Will Land. That is the title of the album and also a track on the album. Not my favorite one, though. Something, a lot of times the title track. It is not my favorite one, however. The Trees Were Blue was cool, but maybe a bit long. Dropping in the final track, very good, but also maybe a bit long. It reminded me a little bit of these King Gizzard table jams, except like just only the beginning before everybody really starts to join in and it takes off. Mystery Meat, Weightless. There's just a couple of songs like no drums, no vocals. It just needed a little more to it. It's just like, you see a like, oh, that's a nice pool. It's kind of a hot day. I'm going to go get in that pool. But then you realize it's only like 2 feet deep. What is on here is good, though. It was listenable. In fact, a couple of these songs, I went ahead and hit the the like button. Well, I'll hear them a little more on YouTube Music. So, I don't know. I wish it were a little more. I believe Trey, or Paige, he mentioned there were some articles that came out along with this album, Something Will Land, the new album by Page McConnell. Along with this, he mentioned, I believe, that he will be doing something with his former band, Vita Blue. So, that seems more like it will certainly have a little more to it. We're used to it at a minimum of 4 guys in the band. So, not that it was, not that I don't know. I want to say I lean towards I liked it, but it's a very specific type of listening. This isn't going to be like, I'm not going to mow the lawn and listen to this, I'm not going to go do dishes and listen to this. Cat seemed to approve of it, though. Floppy was liking it, I'll say. He seems to, he's a little picky with his musical taste. However, this one he did like. So then beyond this, I don't know however I ended up stumbling. I don't know what made me think of weird Phish venues. Maybe it had nothing to do with Page. We're moving on here now to weirder venues. Maybe they're just unique, strange. I don't even know if weird's the right word. Like Red Rocks and the Gorge, for example. Not that they are weird, but they're certainly cool, unique. And then if you go way back, then I remember last year, a channel member requested a show that took place at the Boathouse. Now that was more what I was thinking along those lines. And then as I was looking, a lot of people, things that you see on the internet, whether if it was .net or Reddit, people kept bringing up the Cincinnati Zoo. Now, while that's a weird location, perhaps, I think my sister saw New Kids on the Block there. No, that was at Kings Island. Kings Island also had a little musical, a little amphitheater. But that was the Cincinnati Zoo situation. It wasn't really strange. It was just an odd location at a zoo, and but it was a normal amphitheater, just small. Had the patio roof, whatever, it was open air, some fans, rows of seats. It was all very normal once you were there at the actual show. What was that place at Kings Island called? Timberwolf. Anybody ever go to a show at Timberwolf at Kings Island? New Kids on the Block, man. Apparently they took advantage of the park that day as well. Could have seen old Joe Knight and Wahlberg riding the Beast, maybe. You ever been to Kings Island? Very underrated park. Cedar Point steals a lot of the thunder. I mean, Cedar Point is a great amusement park. Kings Island, though, definitely 2 thumbs up. Haven't been there in quite a while. Probably close to 10 years now, haven't been back. Probably only been there once in the last 30 years. Last 25 years. 20-ish. So then I did find something called, I believe, .net calls it The Rink. It was in Buffalo, New York, September 28th, 1991. The only time they played there. And then other places, they called it the Amherst Roller Rink. And so we're going to go with The Rink. But what was it? So it was at a roller rink. I could not find a picture of the inside. Did find a picture, I believe, of the venue from the outside, but nothing on the inside. Then I was reading, you would see things, whether if it was in show reviews or wherever, forums. Trey allegedly put on a pair of rollerblades. Now, I don't know why. It was 1991, maybe the times, but rollerblades, come on. So that's disappointing that Trey rollerbladed. Roller skates would have been awesome. But it was during Weekapaw. And then I didn't quite believe it. There is an audience recording of the show. And on the Re-Listen app, wherever you find your old shows, Phish.in. Weekapaw, yeah, he's putting on a pair of rollerblades. Like, he's absent for a while. And then, boom, he's there. And then maybe 3 or 4 minute mark of the song, the crowd's really getting into it. Not a very big crowd. I think I saw around 500 people, they claimed. And so what were some, I don't know. I'm sure certainly if maybe somebody will see this, they know of some obscure, weird venue. There's something called the Jade Elephant, I believe, also in Virginia. I couldn't find much on it, though. A couple pictures of the inside. Just seemed like it was like, is that it? Is it that place there? It looks kind of just like, it's kind of looked like a cool house at a weird, like kind of on a hill and somewhere in Richmond, Virginia, maybe. You know anything about the Jade Elephant, let me know. Was it the rink or the Amherst roller rink? It appears to not exist anymore. That's the problem with a lot of these old places, like Hara Arena. Not that Hara was anything special. I mean, it was special, but not anything too unique to the time. But it's gone now. In the future, somebody might be looking up what was going on at Hara. They wouldn't even know that Phish and Kiss and Pantera and Black Sabbath, Ozzy, Slayer, Def Leppard, Billy Idol, Hank Williams Jr., some big names played at Hara Arena. Bill Goodman's show, Disney on Ice, played there all the time. Circuses. I was there for a lot of circuses as a child. The Dayton Bombers hockey team, legendary venue, got taken out by a tornado. It was already on its way out. So I guess that's about it. And, also I did stumble upon, with this recent, with the recent situation at Hampton, the person dying outside the show. And then there was in 2021 at the Chase Center, already forgot, there was the person that fell and unfortunately died at the Chase Center in 2021 at the Phish show. There was also another person that fell in like a second incident, separate. A second fan fell and they landed on a fan, I guess. Both people were injured in that case, taken to a hospital, but no serious life-threatening injuries, it said. I just don't remember there being a second incident that night. It's weird. Like maybe going down the road, we won't remember that people were also injured at Hampton. You'll just know about the fatality. Fatality. Sorry, shouldn't have done that. So the Chase Center, that was pretty tragic. And then there was a couple of even more just along the lines of tragic. I was wondering, I just knew those couldn't have been, I didn't think the Chase Center was the first. And then, yeah, there was unfortunately a lady found dead in her tent at Coventry, I believe. And, but then even just more tragic. I mean, they're all tragic. I shouldn't say even more tragic. Maybe just because these fans were so young. In 1997 at the Gorge, a 21-year-old fan from Indiana named Brian Taylor said he was sitting in the window. I think he was sitting in the window. I don't know if he was inside or outside of the car, but he was sitting on the window frame and he fell from the car, hit his head, serious injury, and he did not survive the injuries. That's just, that always drives, every now and then you see videos of that. It drives me crazy. And then there was another very similar situation. Sounded like just a total chaos at this show. June 23rd, 1995, Waterloo Village in New Jersey. A fan named Daniel Malone. Similar situation, different but similar, involving him being on the outside of a vehicle and then falling. And in this one, I believe there was, I don't know what was going on at the Gorge, why Brian was doing that. But at this one, there was no parking on site. So you had to park quite far away and then walk to the venue. So some people that were walking, I guess, I don't know, there were cars going by. Not sure where the cars were headed, but they were headed in the direction of the venue, apparently. And fans were jumping onto the moving cars. And that is what happened to Daniel Malone. But unfortunately, he either fell from the vehicle or something happened, and again, head trauma, and he did not survive. And then read some reports. I believe you can read about it. There was a fan, Rob Mitchum, wrote about it. It's Mitchum with no T. I saw a blog post quite a few years ago, and he had a little more info on that. But oh man, so if you're, I think a lot of us are, older now, and we're not really jumping on moving cars. But man, don't ever, if you consider, man, do not do it. It's just walk. All right, obviously. I just could not believe that. It's such a horrible situation. And Chris Henry from the Bengals several years ago tried to jump into a moving truck or something. Oh man, just head on pavement. It's just one of the, I don't know. It's one of them, it's like nails on chalkboard. Just even trying to have a vision of that. You see these young kids these days, just like, what are they doing, man? They're like sitting inside the car, but up on the window frame while their friends are just going crazy. Like, are they strapped in somehow? They know they can't fall? I don't know. Even Trey on the rollerblades without a helmet would freak me out. I don't know what it is about head injuries that just give me such the heebie-jeebies. But like you said, you could just tell earlier, I was kind of like, this lady died in a tent. Like that one doesn't get to me somehow. But these young fans, and it's not because she was a woman. Calm down over there. I know you weren't thinking that, but. So I don't know. We went from weird venues to deaths. This was really, I should have maybe perhaps went the other way around. We started with poor Paige's new album. Something for some sad music, I suppose, if you wanted it to be. Could be. I could see this playing at the yoga studio. Does Paige own a yoga studio or something? Or is it a maybe it's a recording studio. Or a yoga studio. I'm not sure. He could have rolled into a yoga studio and recorded this, and they would have just thought everything was like, oh, that must be the guy for today. Paige looks like one of them guys who try to bang everybody's wife. Like he would open up a yoga studio and then just try to bang all the women. Be like, hi, I'm Page McConnell. I've performed in front of millions of fans. Start busting out some bathtub gin for them. The kind you drink. Boom. Paige jizz.